for our third mission, we have October 5th, 2015. Wait, this wasn't a time period we had a time machine part in. Who chose this time period? Because none of us did. You wanna know who did it? Yeah, no, that was me. I chose it. Some of the time machine parts landed here. Oh, I already found one. There it is. There's the second portal. Boom! Alright, day 4 of Operation Souls Up 2025. So, today, for the 4th mission, we are going to October 31st, 2015, which was Halloween 2015 itself. Now, why exactly are we going to this day rather than the day the party actually released, which was October 21st? This is mainly due to the fact that if we went to that day instead, not all of the content, such as the skyscraper and neighborhood, would have been there. That's because the skyscraper unlocked on the 28th and the neighborhood unlocked on the 31st, which is why I'm deciding to go to this day instead, so we could showcase all of the content of the party at once. I think that makes way more sense. With all that said, the portal to access it is right over here. As you can see, it is all decked out for Halloween. And yeah, let's head into the portal. The Halloween Party 2015, the first ever Halloween party in Solos Lab history. And actually, fun fact, the first ever Halloween party I ever made ever. So this is very special. Of course, before we go exploring, we need to obviously find the time machine parts that are scattered across this area. I'm gonna start by looking in the haunted mine, specifically, and see if anything's down here. Oh, dang! Wow, I was already right with that first one. Dang, I am good. So this looks like one of the stair pieces for the time machine. Dang. I'm good at guessing. Now, since there were 2 stairs for the time machine, that means there's obviously one more scattered around here. I'm gonna go ahead and check the skyscraper first to see if any of them are hidden around here. Nope, I do not see any up here. What about the next room? Nope, none up here. Okay, how about the next room? Oh, I see it. I see it right there. There we go. There's the second one. Nice. There we go. We have officially found both time machine stairs. Now we can head back to the garage and successfully put them back together. Okay, we are back in the garage and now we can successfully put the stairs back. Let's do it. By doing this first stairs right here. As you can see, it mainly goes down like this. There we go, that's one. Now we have to do the second one, which is basically the exact same thing, just on the other side. And there we go. Both time machine stairs are successfully back on the time machine. All right, let's explore this party, because it was actually really cool. Anyway, starting off with the graveyard right here. This has been a tradition in every single Halloween party since this very one right here in 2015. So, yeah. It's nice to see where it originated 10 years ago. So, that's awesome. Anyway, over here, as you can clearly notice, we have the lab office, or at least on the outside. As you can see, we got some pumpkins right here, and the sand has been turned to grass. Fun fact, 10 years ago, this was a suggestion by M-Pros, actually, to make it look a little more scarier, which was very cool. These lights were here specifically to light up the area, so we could actually see it properly, which was super cool, because if we had them off, it wouldn't have looked as nice, so that's why they're on here. Heading into the lab office itself, we can actually see that we have Rose Crystal's Ender Dragon costume, which is super cool, and was one of the 2 costumes available during the party. We can obviously see Mr. Sheep is here, which is very cool. We can also have a candy station right here, which is super cool. And actually, fun fact about this design, it was actually brought back in 2018, actually. Just minus the costume. So, that's pretty cool, actually. Anyway, now we're gonna head downstairs because we have a majority of the lab to still explore. So, as you can see, the entire hallway here has redstone torches, and the carpet has been transformed to orange and black to make it look more scary. However, there's still a room over here that we have yet to explore, being this room. As you can see, there are redstone torches and jack-o'-lanterns, or more importantly carved pumpkins, everywhere, which is super cool. Anyway, heading out here and going on into Rose Crystal's room, we can actually see that it's actually the same room from the Zolas Lab 10-year anniversary party. However, the difference this time is that we could actually access the bookshelf this time, unlike that room where it was only there for show. So, by heading down here, we can actually explore the Secrets Lab basement, which is actually decorated for this party. Yep, as we can see, it was decorated for this party. And actually, this was the only party that this room was featured all the way until the Halloween Party 2021, exactly 6 years later in 2021, on October 21st, which ironically featured almost the exact same decorations as they were seen in this party. So, what a coincidence. Anyway, with that said, let's move on to the next room. Our next room is the meeting room, which mainly just has redstone torches and a pumpkin replacing the table that's normally here. Heading into Snowland, as we can see, it is actually the most decorated room of this entire party, which obviously looks like this. Fun fact, you may have seen a recreation of this room in the 2019 Zolas Lab 2 Halloween party, but obviously it was done in the more modern version of this. So this is actually your first time seeing the original room officially. So that is super cool. So yes, this is exactly what that 2019 room looked like originally 4 years earlier. So yeah, basically that room was a remake of this room, which is super cool. With all that said, heading into the TV and game room, there are also some redstone torches right here, alongside 2 pumpkins once again replacing the table, similarly to the meeting room. Next up, we can head over here to the sugar box room and can see some redstone torches alongside 3 pumpkins, which is super cool. Heading into the library, there are even more pumpkins in here, one of which replacing the bookshelf right here. And yeah, that's basically it for all the main rooms of the lab. So now we can successfully head back upstairs and successfully start touring the rooms that were only exclusive to this party. The first of which being the secret Halloween room, right down here. This party is where this room specifically originated. And as you can see, it is here in all of its glory. This is also where my wizard costume originated back 10 years ago. So that is actually really awesome. You finally get to see where this costume originated. And that was in this very room right here, which is super cool. Anyway, that is it for this room. This is normally how it looks anyway. So there's not really too much that was different outside of the costume being here. The next room that we're going to be heading to is specifically the Haunted Mine, which is right over here. Now, we will take the normal entrance that we took earlier to find the time machine piece, just to show you how it worked 10 years ago. And there you go, that's how it worked. And this has mainly been the same entrance ever since. So, yeah. Sadly though, for some reason, it turns out the Haunted Mine was blocked off, even though it was clearly accessible during this party. So that's a real shame. Anyway, the next room we need to explore in this party is the skyscraper itself, which we explored earlier to find one of the time machine stairs. But now we're going to be able to explore it officially. Heading up the ladder, we will successfully be able to find the first skyscraper room out of 4. As you can see, it looks like this. Now, back in the 2018 party, these rooms actually featured all of the 2016 challenges. But since this is the original room, those challenges do not apply here. Now you can see the room officially in its original form, which obviously looks like this, which is super cool. Anyway, the next room is the Potion Lab room, which in 2018 featured the maze. But of course, since we're here, this is what it looks like originally from 10 years ago. And honestly, this looked very, very cool. So yeah, anyway, this is mainly how the room looks, and with all that said, let's move on to the next room, which is up this ladder. The next room is right here, and we were here earlier to find one of the time machine stairs. But this is what it looks like officially. We'll most likely call this the scary tree room, even though these are clearly called chorus plants. Anyway, this is how the room looked originally. It's very weird not having the end rod maze here, as that's what it looked like in 2018, and really lit up this room. But this is how it looked originally 10 years ago without that being added. Now, let's move on to the final room, being the netherrack area, which of course was the top floor. As you can see, we have the balcony, which is full of redstone torches, and overall completes the entirety of the skyscraper. Now we can head right back down and explore the final area of this entire party, which was implemented on the very day that we are in right now for this time period. And that is the neighborhood. So, as you can clearly see, that it was implemented on Halloween itself, whereas the skyscraper was implemented on the 28th. But since this was implemented here on Halloween, here it is now. First of all, we will go into the wood house right here, specifically, featuring this. There were no Halloween decorations, considering this was the day these houses first released in. So that can explain why they aren't here. But they would be in later years. Anyway, my house was also built on the exact same day and looks exactly how you see it here, which is super, super cool. Anyway, that's basically it. There's not much to technically say other than the fact that this place still looks super cool after all these years. And with all that said, that is it for this very tour, because that was the last remaining content we still had not explored in this party. And just for the record, Rose Crystal's house wouldn't be built till over 2 years later, in late November 2017 after the corruption, hence why it's not featured here. So next time, guys, on September 15th, we'll be doing Mission 5, which will of course take place in another time period. With all that being said, Operation Zolas Lab 2025 is